Hello everyone. Good evening and welcome to BYJU'S exam prep. I hope I'm clearly audible and visible to everyone watching me live. And I hope you're very excited for this session today where we are going to be talking about some passages that you should have done by now. But if you still haven't done them, it's your ultimate revision that you just need to do before CLAT happens. Good evening, everyone. I am unable to see your chats. Jaldi se ek baar send me a hi. Yes, now I can see your chats, everyone. Yes, good evening, good evening, good evening. Took me a little while to come live. Good evening, everyone. तो देखो ultimate revision दो parts में मैं करवाऊंगी. One today and one is going to be tomorrow. And in both the sessions, I'm going to be making you do some passages that are a bit tricky in reading, but questions are simple. And we're going to be practicing more passages like a boost and a pep that we need to do before we sit for the actual examination. So are you guys ready, everyone? Are you guys ready? Shall I start with my very first passage? As I told you in the chat, in the toppers batch, these are some passages that had appeared in the previous year NLS papers. Now, what are these NLS papers? Let me tell you what exactly are we going to be doing, okay? But before that, we have a 3-day free trial going on our app. So if you're somebody who wishes to sit for 2025 CLAT, that is next year December CLAT, you can avail this 3-day free trial right away. Just to register yourself with your phone number and access everything that the students of our batches can access for free. All the mock tests, all the classes, all the recorded videos, everything is going to be available to you for free for the next 3 days. Do that right away. Don't waste your time. Yes, everyone's ready. So let me tell you exactly ये NLS papers क्या है. So CLAT start होने से पहले individual 1988 onwards to 2007 CLAT नहीं हुआ था. And NLS, NALSA, WBNJS, they conducted their own individual university papers. And to get into these colleges, आपको उनके individual papers देने होते थे. So, and you know, क्योंकि papers बहुत outdated हो गए, a lot of you do not have access to these papers. I got two passages from those previous year NLS exams, and these are memory-based papers. So, because they aren't so freely available, we are going to be solving them in the class today. And trust me, since these are NLS papers, they certainly aren't going to be a cakewalk. So let's begin with the very first passage without wasting any time. Here's your very first page. Read the page and send me a done. Make sure you focus on the main theme because both the passages have main theme based questions and then consecutively related questions like inference as well. Most of the questions are inferential. 5 questions, 6 questions per passage. First page, read the page and send me a done. Page 2. Oh, Oh, just a minute, guys. 1 minute. Something went wrong. Stay with me. Yeah, now I think it's good. Sorry, my bad. Page 2. Page 3. All right, now that we are done, let's have a look at the very first question. What's your answer? Okay. All right. I've got 2 people saying C, and the rest follow saying C as well. Okay, the correct answer is absolutely C. Before I discuss the theme of the passage and the correct answer, why is that a C, let's answer a couple of more questions ahead. Question number 2. You have 5 options here. That's what analysts did. Sometimes 3, sometimes 5. If it happens with you, mark the answer. You might want to go back to the passage for this, although I would highly recommend you don't, because you'll be even more confused if you go back. I'll still take you back if you want to. We have these 19th century scientists. Here you go. Now let's go back to the question here. Are you going to still stick with E? What's your answer? Okay, D, B. None of you are correct. The correct answer is A. It's an analyst paper. Don't forget that. The best NLU you're dreaming of, right? There has to be some catch with it. Next question, everyone. Before I explain anything, let's answer all the 5 questions. What's your answer? Just a minute. C, B, C. The correct answer should be a B, not a C. Okay. People, if you're marking a C, I think you marked the first question correct only under peer pressure. If you've got the first question correct, you will consecutively get the remaining questions correct as well. All of them are interconnected. If you're getting the first question correct and the remaining ones wrong, you just mark the first question correct under peer pressure, I believe. We'll still go ahead and mark the remaining questions and then discuss it. Fourth. What's your answer? C, D. Now you're getting it correct. The correct answer is a D. Yes. Question number 5. That's a little tricky one. B. Yes, the correct answer is B. And the last question for this passage, everyone. The word enunciated. I'll take you back to the passage. I'll make you read that line, okay? Synonym to the word enunciated. Here you go. So, elated by the newly enunciated doctrines of evolution, these students saw all cultures as stages in a single line of development. enunciated doctrines of evolution. So we have the options. Here you go. Yeah, that's right. Actually, passage isn't needed. It's literally the correct answer. Yes. And it is going to be a B. Absolutely correct. The correct answer is B. Now, enunciated literally means to express, put it into words. Okay, that's articulation as well. Literally also enunciated means that it was declared, a doctrine was declared, right? It was widely accepted as well amongst the Europeans for sure. That's articulated and expressed. अच्छा अब देखो score बताओ मुझे अपना on 6. What's your score, everybody? Before I proceed with explanation of this passage and giving you the next passage, I also need to communicate something with you right now. What's your score, everyone? Guys, the idea for this week is I actually could have bought a simple passage to boost your confidence and, make you feel really good about your preparation. I could have done that tomorrow. And that's exactly why very good. 4 is a very good score. It's a very, very good score. Okay. Now I stuck to bringing and finding passages that are not cakewalk because there's a reason behind that. My idea is that if you practice more of difficult passages, if you're able to do difficult passages, exam में आसान तो तुम कर ही लोगे, है ना? तो अगर मैं आपको आसान देती गई and if the examination, God forbid, gives you a very difficult passage, then it's going to be a shocker for you and I don't want to keep you under any bubble. And that's exactly why I bought a slightly tricky piece of reading. This passage's language certainly wasn't an easy one. When I do this passage in some of my batches, most of the kids get confused with it. And that's the reason why I bought this for you. If we do some tricky passages, we'll automatically be able to do the easy ones. This should not dampen your spirit. It shouldn't dampen your confidence in yourself. It should only encourage you with the fact that, देखो, मैं ये difficult भी 3 on 6, 4 on 6, 5 on 6 के साथ कर सकता हूँ, तो आसान तो मैं 5 on 5, 6 on 6 तो कर ही पाऊंगा ना? That's the entire idea. ठीक है, अब passage एक बार समझते हैं, passage क्या बोलना चाह रहा है. Next passage by that benchmark easier ही है जो हमने अभी किया उससे. So don't worry about that. ठीक है, कोई idea नहीं है मेरा आपको demotivate करने का इधर. So author कह रहा है the word primitive is an incorrectly used phrase, similar to the word heathen. Just that heathen is a word we use with religion and primitive is a word we use with art forms. And he says heathen is an incorrectly used word, so is primitive. Now, why is heathen a term that's very wrongly used? Because heathen is a sect that is simply not affiliated to any of the 3 standardized religions that we have in the world. तो कोई भी एक religion जो कि 3 prominent religion के साथ में abide नहीं करता या उन्हीं से निकला हुआ नहीं है, कोई भी अलग religion है उसको हम heathen नाम दे देते हैं. उसी तरीके से primitive एक ऐसा word है जो कि literally इसका मतलब क्या होता है? The next paragraph explains it. It means underdeveloped, or simple or ancestral. And this word is a word given to any kind of art form that doesn't abide by the standard art forms. ठीक है? तो art में कुछ standard art forms defined है. अगर आपने इसके अलावा कोई एक 4th तरीके का art बनाना start किया, they'll call you primitive. But then, does that mean any different kind of art form is an underdeveloped one or undeveloped one? आपने कोई भी एक अलग आर्ट फॉर्म बनाया, क्या इसका मतलब ये है कि वो अनडेवलप्ड आर्ट फॉर्म है या एंसेस्ट्रल है या सिंपल आर्ट फॉर्म है? नो, ये हो सकता है कि वो आर्ट फॉर्म एक्चुअली बहुत ज्यादा एडवांस्ड हो, more advanced than the 3 art forms that you've already seen. So using the word primitive is an incorrect word. Understood? Okay. Current affairs में सबसे ज्यादा डर लग रहा है. देखो, dude, I'm actually the wrong person to comment on that, but one thing I can for sure tell you is that it's natural because current affairs is the entire world, everything under the sky. And the course is so vast that it's impossible for you to cover. Any child who sits for an IAS examination also gets scared equally for general awareness, right? Because the course for him as well is so vast. So it's okay to be scared, but don't overburden yourself right now with too much information. Do simple things. Do what your teachers tell you on the YouTube channel. Abide by that. But don't overburden yourself. आपने बहुत किया है और उसको उतना एग्जामिनेशन से अच्छा कॉलेज निकालने के लिए इनफ है. That's something you need to remind yourself. Okay. Now, ma'am, thank you, Subhashini. Ma'am, according to you, इस passage का difficulty rate क्या होगा? It was a fairly tricky passage. I'll rate it mediocre. It certainly was not an easy one. The language of the passage was very tricky. Ma'am, if the passage is asking a word, what we have to give the answer is the meaning from the passage or free example? Of course, from the passage. It is always going to be a contextual vocabulary question. The meaning has to be from the passage. हाँ, ये बात अलग है कि meaning जो literal है is same to the contextual usage, then the meaning remains the same. But most of the times, the meaning that is contextually used is different from the literal usage. So you have to be very careful. Always refer back to the passage, like reading the line and knowing the answer. All right. Now, getting back to the passage, I hope you've understood why the author actually is asking you to discard the word primitive, saying it's a wrongly used word. Why? He answers, why do people still use this word for any different art form? The reason, who is responsible for the misuse of this word pertaining to art? The 19th century scientists, the Europeans. The Europeans, Europeans are really proud of themselves, their culture, which is a very good thing. And we aren't. But there's a thin line of difference between being proud of your culture and being obsessed with it. This example of the 19th century European scientists, anthropologists precisely, is an example of being obsessed with their own culture. They said ultimate perfect flower of evolutionary process तो European culture है. तो एक स्ट्रेट लाइन बना देते हैं, ये टॉप है यूरोपियन कल्चर, सारे कल्चरल इवोल्यूशन इसी लाइन में आते हैं. तो आप जितने अलग हुए आप उतने ही अनडेवलप्ड हुए, जितने सिमिलर टू यूरोपियन कल्चर हुए, क्योंकि अल्टीमेट फ्लावर ऑफ इवोल्यूशन तो यूरोपियन कल्चर है. दैट मीन्स एनीथिंग दैट गोज अवे इज अनडेवलप्ड, दैट इज प्रिमिटिव, एंड this idea now is of course discarded. We don't use it anymore. But before we discarded this idea took place in many cultural forms, including art. और आज भी आर्ट में प्रिमिटिव वर्ड को यूज किया जाता है उस आर्ट को दिखाने के लिए जो कि अलग है. बट प्रिमिटिव का मतलब क्या होता है? अनडेवलप्ड. हम प्रिमिटिव लोग यूज करते हैं ना, जो हमारे ट्राइब्स है उनके लिए, क्योंकि वो हमारी तरीके से डेवलप नहीं है, क्योंकि वो अलग है हमसे शायद. So that's why the author actually discards this usage of this word. I hope you've understood the passage, everyone. Let's have a look at the first question. Main purpose is actually deprecating the use of primitive as applied to art. Deprecating is actually discarding. वो कह रहा है कि आप जब primitive को art define करने के लिए use करते हैं, आप गलत करते हो. Primitive is a wrong word जो कि different art के लिए use किया जाता है, क्योंकि different art actually equally advanced हो सकता है, better भी हो सकता है. अब आज for example, I try making a new art form, which later on actually goes on to beat Picasso maybe. Oh my God, what am I even imagining? But nonetheless, what is the harm in imagining? I go on to make an art form that beats Picasso's art form. Does that mean my art form is primitive? No. So calling me primitive because I'm different is a wrong way of addressing any art form. Okay? The correct answer here is exactly opposite of appreciating. He discards this idea. C is the correct answer. A says explains the various definitions of the word primitive. He does that, but the main purpose is not explaining this. The main purpose is relating this to this. Option B says show that term primitive can be applied valid to the art. It's the opposite. He says it's invalid. Okay, the correct answer is a C. Let's come to question number 2. The 19th century scientists believed that the theory of evolution can actually be applied to the development of culture. Now, let me show you how you can infer. It's there across the paragraph, and that's exactly why I said referring back will need you to read an entire paragraph. That doesn't do a lot of good to you. So in such a case, you should leave such a question if you're confused. Okay, I saw a lot of you taking so much time to answer. Some of you did not even answer. In such a case, you leave the question. ये एक ऐसा question था जो आपको छोड़ देना चाहिए था. ठीक है? So they said application of art and cultures other than its own. It is an unfortunate heritage of the 19th century scientists. So art और culture को जब आप heritage के साथ anthropology के साथ link करते हो, ये किसका result है? It's an unfortunate result of the 19th century scientists who said this is a single line of evolutionary process. The ultimate flower of evolution is the European one. Okay, but it was discarded. But उसके पहले बहुत सारी जगह ये अपना place बना चुका था. That's exactly what A says. It can be applied to the development of culture. So if your culture is different than European culture, you're primitive. That's what these scientists believed about the ultimate flower of evolution. And this ultimate flower of evolution will also help you answer question number 3. No, next question, question number 4. There are many misunderstandings still. There are many misunderstandings like the usage of primitive, because a lot of people believed, European scientists believed that European civilization is the ultimate final product of evolutionary process. आपको वहां पहुंचना है, तो जितना तुम सेम होगे ना यूरोपियन सिविलाइजेशन से, उतना ही ज्यादा डेवलप्ड होगा तुम्हारा कल्चर. But of course that was discarded, yet it made its way into many other disciplines. That's the reason for the misunderstanding. All right. What's a good score in English section? 24, my child. I mean, I couldn't answer it any other way because I don't know how much you're scoring. I don't know which is your strength. I don't know which is your weakness. It's a subjective answer, my child. Which of the following the author will agree? Primitive art may be highly developed as civilized arts. So using this word is incorrect. He says don't use this word because this kind of art, any art that's different, can actually be highly developed. Remember my example of I making an art form that beats Picasso's art form. I'm going to make a new story. Nice. So B is what the author would agree with, right? The term primitive is used only by the misinformed. Incorrect. The arts of a culture often indicate how advanced that culture is. Maybe not. Maybe culture does. A simple culture is likely to have a simple art. Maybe not. Maybe advanced art. And that's why using the word primitive is incorrect. Question number 5. Primitive. Tone of the author. Now see, you know the author is actually criticizing historical misconceptions about the usage of primitive. He does that. And through that, he analyzes who is responsible for that, why is this usage wrong. Remember, when you use a passage to answer who, why, how, ऐसी चीजों में हमेशा आपका टोन एनालिटिकल होता है. So the author is actually trying to find out who is responsible for that. It's a little argumentative though, but option A is too negative. That's not the tone here. That's why we'll eliminate option A. I'm sure some of you might have thought of option A being the correct answer. है ना, क्योंकि negative था tone passage में, but इतना derisive और scornfully, मतलब hateful तो नहीं था for sure. That's why A is incorrect. So we're done with, and we had a last question, enunciated, which I have already explained. Now, before moving on to the next passage, everyone, did you hit the like button? I have like 23 people watching me live. You need to do that right away. Hit the like buttons before I move to the next passage. Okay. Thank you if you've done that already. Here you go. Read the page and send me a done. Passage 2, an LS memory-based passage. अनन्या बताइए. Yes, Ananya. I'll answer that, Derek. He's so angry. I gave out an answer. Chaliye, question number 1, everyone. What's your answer? B, C, B. Okay, the correct answer is C. Question number 2. D, D. Okay. Yes, it is a D. Remember the example of waiters and hotel staff? Question number 3. Correct answer is a C. 4th. It's a factual one. C. Okay. B. Did you solve the first passage with me, Pavitra? I disagree. Do you know where these passages are from? These are previous year passages. The correct answer is a B. Question number 5. Answer B. Yes, it is a B again. Automation has provided cheaper alternative. Alrighty, so the passage, actually, I think you've got a 100% correct here. The passage is anger from the author regarding less manpower in places where there are queues. Take a typical example of an SBI counter. There's a huge line. Yes, the number of people hired are few. Who is responsible for that? The organization. The organization considers customers to be a nuisance and they say we're going to do what we please to, we'll hire fewer people. नहीं तो खाली टाइम में मेरा स्टाफ क्या करेगा? जब लाइन छोटी हो जाएगी, शाम के 6 बजे ऑफिस बंद होने का टाइम होगा, तब मेरा स्टाफ क्या करेगा? खाली है. I can't tolerate that. So the organization is before everybody else. Second place आता है employees का. Employees are more important. जैसे होटल इंडस्ट्री में देखो, नहीं बनाने का मूड है, ये बहुत एफर्ट लगेगा, I'll chuck it off the menu. It's going to be there in the menu, but I'll not cook it. Or I'll close the dining hours before the scheduled time because I don't want to cook. It's my priority, my prerogative. Exactly. So the author says the priority is the organization, the second priority is the staff, the least priority is given to the customers. And the author is absolutely unhappy about that. He says, I'm not happy. You hire more people because there's so much of unemployment. You hire more people and you serve your staff. So you go to DMart, you see huge lines. You would want more counters. Who wouldn't? Very good. Yes, of course, it was an easier one. Yes, correct. Acha. So, before I solve these questions with you, what do you want me to do in the next class tomorrow? Tricky passages? Yes, or simple ones? I'm in for tricky passages. What do you want me to bring? Tricky, mind-boggling ones that makes you think harder. I mean, I don't want to end in a note where you are, where your confidence is beaten. So I can probably bring a mix of one mind-boggling one and one supremely easy that boosts your confidence. Because tomorrow is going to be my tricky, moderate. I'll make a mixture of a tricky one and an easy one. That's what we're going to be doing tomorrow. Correct answers here. The writer feels that nowadays the customer is the victim of modern organization. A lot of people marked B. He unworthy of proper consideration का मतलब क्या होता है? Author को ये लगता है कि customer unworthy है, customer पे ध्यान मत दो. That is what B means. It's the opposite. The author says customer is your boss. Customer should be a priority. You better look after your customer. Better hire more people. Reduce these queues. Customer is absolutely worthy of proper consideration is what the author believes in. I think you misunderstood this option. Organizations believe, according to the author, organizations believe that the customer is unworthy, will do as we please to. Rather, the customer is a victim, he's suffering. Itni badi queues hai, staff kam hai, hum kya kare? Okay. Question number 2 says, in the writer's opinion, the quality of service is changing because the staff and the organization is given more priority than the customers. That's why the quality is changing. They will chuck off things off their menu. They'll close the dinner before timings are done. They'll have more lines because there's lesser staff needed. The staff will also have a chai break for an hour, chit-chatting about their household. That's what the author thinks. The staff is more important than customers are. According to the writer, long queues at counters are caused by lesser staff. If you have more staff, you'll have more queues, right? So, simple answer tha ye. Service organizations claim that keeping all checkout counters manned. Manned means there are people at all the checkout counters. Organization क्या बोलती है? इतने लोग hire कर लेंगे तो मेरा cost exorbitant हो जाएगा. इतना cost कौन pay करेगा? आप line में लगो और pay करो. Look at DMart. I mean, not DMart. Look at these grocery stores, these hypermarkets where the lines are huge. And so, according to the author, organizations believe that hiring more people will increase the overhead cost. And the last question, the disappearance of old style porters are because you have these coin guzzling machines written in the end. तो आपको 4 पोर्टर रखने पड़ेंगे, इसकी जगह आपके पास में ऑटोमेशन है, एक मशीन हायर करो, वो 4 लोगों का काम करेगी. See, you have this here. There's also the nonsense of so many friendly hotel night porters having been phased out in the interest of efficiency. बोला ऑर्गेनाइजेशन ने क्या, हमें और एफिशिएंसी चाहिए, इसलिए हम ये कॉइन गजलिंग मशीन लगा देंगे जो ये सब सामान निकाल के देगी आपको, lager to laxatives everything. उसकी जगह अगर आपको 4 पोर्टर रखने पड़ेंगे, it's going to increase your costs, right? Basically, it's not efficiency, it's profits, what they care about. So, okay. tricky one so that we don't get nervous. Okay, understood everyone. So on that note, I have a few things to be reminded. Yes. First, if you're targeting CLAT 2025, we have an open workshop happening on 2nd of December, 6 p.m. Nivedita ma'am is going to be discussing all about CLAT 25. Don't miss out on that. Crash course has ended. Yes, this is what I wanted to talk about. ये miss नहीं करना है. It's your last marathon before you sit for CLAT. इसके बाद एक दिन बिल्कुल ब्रेक लेना, कुछ मत करना, रिलैक्स करना. बट ये 6 hours grueling session of solving n number of questions, that last thing you need to do, last nail in the coffin before we open this coffin and look at the ghost named CLAT. Don't miss out on that. 6 hours with us, and then 1 day of full relaxations, just sleeping, recuperating on the sleep and energy, and gaining all of that for your D-Day. And we are going to be coming live for a detailed analysis on CLAT and ALET days. Don't miss out on our analysis. We'll be giving out all the correct answers. We'll be giving out analysis of what cutoffs can you expect, all of that on that D-Day. Do not miss out on that. Immediately you come out of the exam hall, come live, catch us on our YouTube channel. And test series for 24 aspirants and a new batch for 25 aspirants. Rush up, join yourself into the batch as soon as possible. Did you hit the like button, everyone? Don't leave without doing that. Did you hit the subscribe button? Do not leave without doing that. And if you're watching the video recorded, make sure you comment under the video if you appreciate the efforts that I've put in. Okay. You're very scared. मुझे 5 मिनट बात करनी पड़ेगी. I'm not leaving without talking to you. मैम, अकॉर्डिंग टू यू, जब लास्ट 5 डेज में हमें इंग्लिश में क्या करना चाहिए? ओनली एंड ओनली सॉल्विंग पैसेजेस और कुछ भी नहीं. ओनली एंड ओनली सॉल्विंग पैसेजेस. पैसेज सॉल्व करो, दिन के 5, 6, 7, 8, 10 पैसेजेस बिल्कुल सॉल्व कर सकते हो. 10 तक भी सॉल्व कर सकते हो. डोंट गेट अवे फ्रॉम द प्रैक्टिस ऑफ सॉल्विंग पैसेजेस बिकॉज इट्स गोइंग टू कम हैंडी in the exam. You have to stay in the groove of solving passages. So every day 10 passages tak I am good to go. ठीक है? What does memory based mean? So memory based because these papers aren't available now. So all of these are memory based कि हाँ ये passage आया था, ऐसा passage कुछ आया था. We try to recreate the passage. That's why these are memory based because these aren't available now. These NLS, NALS, RWB, NUJS papers. Okay? अब scared बिल्कुल होगे और होना बनता है, लेकिन अपने आप को रिमाइंड करो कि मैंने बहुत हार्डवर्क करी है और मेरा हार्डवर्क बिल्कुल भी वेस्ट नहीं जाएगा. ये मुझे लास्ट डे में कॉन्फिडेंस देगा. इट विल हेल्प मी sit in the exam with all the patience that I have and I will be able to reproduce all that I have memorized there in the exam. So बहुत प्रेशर होगा आपके हेड में कि क्या होने वाला है, क्या नहीं होने वाला है, बट बिलीव इन योर ऑलमाइटी. सब बहुत अच्छा होगा. बिलीव इन योर सेल्फ, बिलीव इन योर हार्डवर्क. अगर आपने पढ़ाई करी है, अगर आपने मेहनत करी है ना, तो वो बिल्कुल आपको रिजल्ट देगी. इस बात को अपने आप को रिमाइंड करते रहना. कोई भी चीज आपको नहीं रोक सकती है आपकी ड्रीम एनएलयू तक पहुंचने में, अगर आपने एफर्ट्स डाले हैं तो. बस ये अपने आप को याद दिलाते रहो. एंजाइटी हो रही है, ब्रेक ले लो 5 मिनट का. ठीक है? Play some good soothing music in the background. No loud banging music. Soothing music play kar lo. Have a cup of coffee. Have a cup of tea. Sit with your mother. Chat with her for 10 minutes. If that brings you some relaxation. Meditate every night before you go out to sleep so that you have a good night's sleep. है ना? Because you need those 5-6 hours of sleep every day. Otherwise आप नहीं कर पाओगे. Passages अगले दिन और ruin होगा आपका. And most important, please don't go out. Don't eat food outside. Stay healthy. You cannot afford to fall sick. Don't do anything that can make you fall sick. Don't meet people. Don't eat outside. Don't overeat. Don't undereat. Don't sleep lesser. Take rest. It's needed. It's going to help you. Thank you, everyone. I shall see you again tomorrow with another session. Bye, everyone. God bless you.